Hello. Welcome to Webinar 8 of Embodied Eating. I'm really excited about today. Today we're going to get into the first pillar of health, and we're going to talk about sensuality. And these are both subjects that I care deeply about and that are important for living a full, embodied life. All right. So let me open up the PowerPoint to get us started. Right there. Okay. And let's put on our slideshow. And my slideshow should be coming. There we go. Yes. Okay. So today, in terms of practice, we're going to do an open awareness meditation. The types of meditation we've been doing so far, when we did the calm, that's not true. When we did the calming meditation in the fourth session, that included some open awareness meditation, and we'll go further with that today. And I find open awareness meditation a powerful practice that can be utilized at any time and in any place, and it's similar to being in the flow. It basically is being in flow, and it's really powerful, and it helps us to be more connected to ourselves and to our environment, and in that way allowing us to respond in a very wise, loving, authentic way. So we'll do that today. As always, we'll be looking at that mindful eating checklist. I have sensuality here. So in terms of recreating early eating experiences, I haven't talked much about that as an internal resource specifically. I want to take time today to point out that the practices that we are doing include practices aimed at recreating and repairing some early unhelpful ways of interacting that we may have learned with our primary caregivers. So today we'll specifically be focusing on sensuality. We focus some on choice, like choosing foods, right? When we've done those mindful eating exercises, we've talked some about anger. And in this society, we tend to push down anger and how we might allow ourselves to experience anger. Last week, I talked about experiencing emotions versus stuffing them down. And when we allow ourselves to experience emotions, we allow ourselves to metabolize them. When we did the calming meditation in week 4, I had us look at different parts of ourselves, which can include like an angry part, can include that internal overeater, And it's about, allowing those aspects of ourselves to be there and to experience them in an open, compassionate way, where they don't take over. And we will be building on that meditation and this way of allowing ourselves to experience our emotions today, without identifying with them. Okay. And then lastly, we'll be looking at this first pillar of healthy eating, which is to reduce inflammation. All right. So I'm going to grab, I have a notebook here about some things I wanted to make sure I addressed in this session. So already that digesting the emotions piece, I didn't spend a lot of time on it last week. And it's really an important concept. That's part of why reducing emotional eating is so important, because when we stuff our emotions, we don't allow ourselves to experience them. And when we don't allow ourselves to experience them, they stay stuck in us and get distorted. So allowing yourself to experience and digest emotions is important. All right. So if you haven't already, take a moment now to reflect upon the mindful eating skills you've practiced this past week. So let me move the vision of myself right there. So did you notice your physical hunger this week? And when you were hungry, how were you able to respond to that? Were you able to tell when you were becoming full? And how did you respond to that signal? Were you able to stop? Were you able to really slow down and eat a snack mindfully on a daily basis? We're going to focus on 8 today, actually probably 8 and 9, and in some 8, 9, 13, and in some ways 10. So we're going to look at the sensory satisfaction that can be found in food, and allowing ourselves to enjoy sensory satisfaction, sensory gratification with food on a regular basis. And then, of course, we have mindless skills, or skills to do less often. And then we have these other mindful lifestyle behaviors. So practicing meditation and movement on a daily basis. And then this week, the next couple weeks and beyond, I really will encourage you to use this open awareness meditation. You can use it for the more formal meditation practices. And more importantly, using it on a regular basis as you move through your daily experience. Right. And so I am backing up to the last session for a minute. I had forgotten the name of the gentleman who has been credited with the Surf the Urge meditation, and that's Alan Marlett, and he was in the addictions field. So I want to acknowledge him. I did a meditation based on Surfing the Urge last time, and I gave you a link to another meditation on Surfing the Urge. So acknowledgments to him. All right. So we'll start with pillar 1 of healthy eating. So I think of 2 aspects of this, and we've already been addressing some of these aspects in a more indirect way, and I want to make it more formal this week. So the first piece is eating at regular intervals. So eating and sleeping at regular intervals is really crucial for success. Going to bed at the same time, getting up around the same time on a daily basis. In terms of eating intervals, what people usually find is eating 3 meals a day, plus snacks if there's more than 4 hours between meals. That is one pattern that works for people. A second pattern is to eat 5 or 6 smaller meals throughout the day. So eating every 3 or so hours. And we'll get into that in a little more detail with the next slide. The other aspect of this healthy eating pillar is big picture, reducing inflammation. So for all of us, if we have elevated inflammation in our body, it does contribute to heart disease, to cancer, to diabetes, to Alzheimer's, and to obesity. If your body has these symptoms, any of these conditions, it is also going to have inflammation. Inflammation is a necessary part of all of these conditions. It isn't sufficient for all of them, but you need the genetic component. You need sometimes specific foods in there to result in manifestation. And it's necessary. And one way to reduce the intensity of symptoms in heart disease, cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and obesity is to reduce inflammation. Okay? The second piece to know about inflammation is that we now have the tools to determine how much inflammation a person is experiencing. So there are laboratory assays that can look at enzymes and oxidative levels in the body to look at overall inflammation levels in the body. We also have the tools to assess some of the elements and supplements that reduce inflammation in the blood. So we can look, for example, at vitamin levels in the blood. We can look at omega-3 levels, which is an antioxidant that reduces oxidation and inflammation. So we can look at these in the blood. So if you have questions about whether you're experiencing inflammation and whether it's problematic for you, you can get this assessed. You can get this assessed with a functional practitioner. There are several in the Iowa City area. I do recommend Kathy, the functional nurse practitioner here at SEVA, in part because I work with her and I know her and I trust her, and in part because she, if you have insurance, she accepts insurance, and she charges a reasonable rate for the services that she offers. However, do you know there are other practitioners in the Iowa City area, and you are not limited to my partner. Okay. Oh, so there goes a fire engine, which I'm sure you can hear. We'll just give it a moment. All right. So the next thing is that the standard American diet contributes to inflammation. This may not be an issue for you if you don't have any of these problems. However, if you do find yourself fatigued or exhausted, it may be a problem that inflammation may be contributing to that, diet may be contributing to that, even though you don't have symptoms of these diseases yet. So processed foods, trans fats, pastries, foods that are predominantly flour and sugar, all contribute to inflammation. The way to reduce the inflammation is with diet. So we'll go over what is helpful in the diet and also with supplements. I do recommend that people take supplements because we do not get enough omega-3s in our diet, and we tend to get way too much omega-6 and 9s in the diet. And we'll go over this second piece, the managing inflammation, in 2 slides. Okay. So establishing a flexible daily routine. This allows us to savor our food when we're eating it, right? So finding that pleasure and sensuality with it. And then in between eating, live a full life. I like to put the word flexible in there because it doesn't need to be rigid. And a routine is important. And I'm hoping that this flexible daily routine also can accommodate periods where you're out of alignment with these things. There may be periods where you are incredibly busy and you can't sleep enough and you have to work after supper. There may be periods where you're unable to sleep. There may be periods where you're sick and you're unable to eat well. You may still have periods of overeating, and that's okay. What we need is a baseline to come back to finding something that works for us. So this tends to be a baseline that works for a lot of people. So when you wake up in the morning, tuning in with movement, meditation, and music. So tuning into yourself and then eating breakfast within an hour of arising. At midday, whenever that is for you, eating your lunch. After lunch, allowing yourself to sit for a few minutes, and then some gentle movement, a gentle walk after lunch to allow digestion of the food to be mobilized. Evening, transitioning out of work mode, developing a ritual around evening and transitioning out of work. A lot of people have issues with overeating in the evening. Some of that can be reduced by developing and on a regular basis having a relaxing routine for when you come home from work, and then another relaxing routine before you go to bed. So for example, once I'm home for the evening, I like to change into my pajamas, and at this point, part of my routine includes coloring with my youngest daughter and listening to Harry Potter. And then the before bedtime routine is a cup of herbal tea, petting my dog, and again, relaxing with kids. So for yourself, having your meals at a similar time each day and having transitions, calming, nourishing transitions, along with periods of transition during the day. So waking up, some tuning in. After lunch, before you move into the afternoon, a little bit of movement. When you come home, routine, transitioning out of work mode, and then after supper, relaxing. And then in between meals, if you go more than 3 hours between a meal and you're hungry, eat, have a snack. So that's the 3 meals a day plus snacks. If you notice that you're fatigued, this can really happen in the afternoon and evening sometimes. Do something to restore, and we'll do some restorative yoga today. And then also between meals, drinking plenty of water. Okay, so I am going to transition for a moment to a Word document that I'm going to send out after the talk. So let me see. And it also has a little bit more with a daily flexible schedule. All right, so this is it. So developing a daily rhythm, making it consistent. So doing it on a regular basis. As I said, it doesn't need to be rigid, but there should be morning, midday, evening, right? And it's best when it can be attuned with circadian and seasonal rhythms. So getting up around sunrise, going to bed before 11, that type of thing. So morning, water, herbal tea, doing some yoga or meditation, eating something or breakfast within an hour of arising, midday lunch, sitting for 10 minutes. So we already had that piece. And then in the evening, I expanded that some calming, connecting, nourishing activities in the evening. Treating yourself and your loved ones lovingly and gently. And then finding some sort of before bedtime routine, a breathing technique, meditation, tea, before you go to bed. And then finally, if possible, refraining from screen for a couple of hours before you go to bed. All right, so I will send that out when I send out the link for this webinar. Okay, so let's go back to here. All right, so diet to manage inflammation. So increasing whole foods, and we've been talking about that for a while. So if you have grain-based pasta, transition to whole grain pasta, maybe quinoa brown rice pasta. If you're having quinoa brown rice pasta, increase the amount of straight up quinoa or brown rice that you're eating. So transitioning from more refined, more processed to more whole. Foods that contain antioxidants, which manage inflammation, are berries and citrus. They have antioxidants. Salmon, cod, sardines, they all have a high ratio of omega-3s. And so that helps to manage inflammation. Nuts, so good fats, nuts, seeds, avocado, having 2 servings of fruit a day, and 5 servings of vegetable a day, and making sure to get your leafy or cruciferous vegetables, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, and several times a week. So that's what we're going for, and it's beautiful. It's spring, so berries are in season, and so are those leafy greens. So getting some of those in your diet. And then, of course, reducing processed foods. The number one food to reduce is anything with trans fat in it. I don't think a lot of food items have a lot of trans fat in them anymore. But that would be hydrogenated oil, like Crisco, basically. It's obviously not going to kill you if you have it occasionally. And I can tell you, when you do have it, you are increasing inflammation. Absolutely 100%. Our bodies do not know what to do with trans fats, and they wreak havoc on our system. So reducing that, and depending on your genetics, so if heart disease runs in your family, or if you have high cholesterol levels, reducing saturated fats. And of course, I've already talked about reducing grains and sugar. So these prepackaged foods, soda, even diet soda is increases inflammation. So soda pop in general, not good, as well as baked goods and candies. So occasionally these things are okay, but not large volumes every day. A once in a while treat. In terms of supplements and spices, turmeric and black pepper, together act as antioxidants. So turmeric has curcumin in it, and that is has antioxidative properties. If you combine that with black pepper, it increases the absorption and activity of the turmeric by 2,000%. So both of those together, seeing where you can get it, adding it to your diet. And if inflammation is an issue for you, you can even take a supplement with turmeric in it. And I know there are teas, I think they're called like golden chai teas, that have turmeric and ginger, which also has antioxidant properties in it. So you can use spices, and spices in general, if they don't bother your stomach and cause reflux and issues with your stomach, are healthy for us. In terms of supplements, I do recommend that everyone takes an omega-3 supplement, and I recommend the Nordic Natural supplement lemon capsules, and it's not 1,280 grams, it's 1,280 milligrams. So yeah, Nordic Natural lemon tends to reduce the fish taste, and Nordic Natural is a brand that's trusted and has been consistent over the years. Additionally, everybody should be taking a multivitamin. And you can do it, female based on your age, gender, age. So I take a multivitamin for women 45 plus, and the multivitamin, will contain these vitamins and elements, and, vitamin C, vitamin E, zinc, and selenium, all are part of our antioxidation pathways in our body and help to reduce inflammation. So if you don't already, get into the habit of taking Nordic Natural and multivitamin in the morning along with breakfast. All right. So today I wanted us to do a little bit of restorative yoga. And this is yoga that I will often do in the afternoons. And I remember starting this practice when I wanted to stop using caffeine and having baked goods in the afternoon for, a quick pick me up. And instead, I would practice these. And at times, I've also used, I did this yesterday, for example, when I got home from work because I was exhausted. I did legs up a wall for a few minutes because I had to go out for a softball game last night for my daughter's softball game. And so I did some restorative yoga and just allowed myself to intentionally relax before I had to go back out. And so I think people probably know these exercises. I will go through them briefly, and I'll actually do forward folds first, and then bridge, and then legs up a wall. So a forward fold is anything where your head is below your heart, and then your heart is below your torso. And this is going to be calming for the nervous system. So let me move my chair out of the way and see what we can do. Take my shoes off. So I'm just going to turn to the side here. And so often with a forward fold, what I'll do, so last time we had the webinar, we did that moon salutation. So separating your legs a little wider than your hips, bending your knees. You can just begin to lower. Yeah, I need to adjust this a little bit. There. So just beginning to lower your body. First so it comes in line with your hips, and just stay here for a moment and adjust and breathe. And then slowly lowering a little bit deeply, and just noticing where you feel a stretch, letting your head drop. Noticing maybe along the backs of your thighs or the small of your back. You might notice blood moving towards the head. And here you can even just imagine, on the exhale, just allowing the tension of the day to drop out of the head. On the inhale, breathing in fresh oxygen, energy. And on the exhale, just releasing from the top of the head the stress of the day, the oxidative stress that comes naturally from metabolizing and digesting. And so even just in this position, allowing blood to begin to move more towards the liver and the lungs. So these oxidative molecules can begin to be filtered and released from the body. So with your breath, visualizing bringing in fresh, clean energy with the inhale, and releasing any toxins, any stress with the exhale, and staying here until you find your body beginning to slow down and relax. And then you can slowly bring yourself back up to standing. And then the second piece that I want to show is bridge pose. And so at the end of the day, we are definitely going to use a block or some sort of bolster. Turn this off, make the lighting a little better. Yeah, a block or bolster to help us so we don't have to use our body, the muscles of our body as much, and we'll just let the bolster hold the weight. And with bridge, what it is it's an inversion. And it's an inversion where the hips are above the heart and the head. So it goes hips, heart, head. And what this does, it allows the reversal of blood and lymph back to the center of the body. This is where we detoxify. So we've got kidneys, right? We've got liver, we've got lungs. All of these organs help to release carbon dioxide, help to release lactic acid, help to release the waste that is generated from utilizing energy in our bodies. And of course, that energy comes from food. Okay, so in bridge, using this block, and I might need to adjust this just a bit more. Yeah, there we go. And it can even just be on the lowest setting, right? So, or it can be on a medium setting, and what you have is your hips above your heart, above your head, and you begin to reverse blood flow. And actually, I can tell you, this feels amazing right now. And so just beginning to let that blood flow reverse. And like I said, these organs are detoxifying organs. And within this torso area is also a lot of fascia. There. Pausing and resume share. All right. So it's also a lot of fascia. And so while you're in bridge pose or in legs up a wall, you want to be breathing deeply so that you can get some gentle movement through the torso. And this also allows toxic buildup that's in the fascia to get mobilized and then be released from the body. All right. So, there. So I'm a little bit confused about it's saying resume share, and I'm having some issues here. So I'm going to look at that for a moment, so please excuse me. Sharing is paused. Bring your shared video to the front. All right, so I'm going to stop share for a second. I don't know why that happened. And now we're going to share. And now we're going to go here. Okay. All right, so I hope this is working. I'm just going to go back to the rest of the session. The last restorative yoga pose that I really like is legs up a wall. And I'm actually going to put my legs up a wall. You can also just take the block on the lowest height and then extend your legs to the sky. And this is just a little deeper inversion. So with bridge, you have from knees to head, where you're doing that inversion, where you're reversing blood flow. With legs up a wall, from toes to head, you're getting an inversion. So what you want to do is bring yourself against a wall, and this is often what I will do at work. I'll just put my feet up the wall of my office door, and you bring, one of your hips near the side of the wall, and you can put a little blanket underneath. You can even put a block underneath, though you don't have to. And then you begin to lay your back down and bring your legs up. And then once you're laying down, your arms can go to either side. Your hands can go on your belly. And you're going to continue with that deep, intentional breathing. And you can stay in this position for 5 to 10 minutes, and you'll feel fluid and lymph begin to move down the legs. And you'll feel the water build up from the day begin to move more towards your midline. I'm going to come back up to talk, but if you're in legs up a wall, feel free to stay there for the next few minutes. So our veins, in arteries, the blood is propelled forward by like small muscles. Veins don't push. It's just the leftover flow from the arteries. And so as from the veins, as the blood is moving up the leg, it's just by nature of the arteries. And so the heartbeat goes, and there's a shunt on the vein that keeps it from flowing back more. And then the heart goes, and it goes a little bit more up. But there's no mechanical propulsion. And so fluid tends to get stuck, especially like in the lower part of the legs. And doing this inversion on a daily basis is a great way to drain all of that buildup that stays there in the legs. So yeah, doing this on a daily basis, at least, doing a forward fold for a few minutes and doing either bridge or legs up a wall for a few minutes can be really helpful in terms of getting toxins and free radicals, which come with inflammation, out of the body. The other piece that can be helpful is taking actually a bath and using Epsom salts, and that can help remove some of the toxins from the body as well. All right, so that's the yoga piece. And from there, I'm going to have us move into this open awareness meditation. So make yourself comfortable. And I am actually going to audio record this as well. So I'll grab my cell phone so I can audio record. And I will send you this meditation separately as an audio as well. So while I'm doing that, go ahead and make yourself comfortable. Close your eyes and prepare. Bring your awareness to your breath. And just begin to notice your inhale and your exhale. And so letting your awareness notice that automatic rhythm of the breathing in and of the breathing out. And let your awareness continue to notice those sensations. Breathing in, breathing out. All right. And then from there, let your awareness move to sound. Noticing the sound of my voice, as well as any background sounds. And let your awareness note the voice is coming from the computer or your cell phone, and that the sound waves are traveling through space and hitting your ears, and that from the ears, the mechanical vibration of the eardrum is being transmitted to nerves that move to the brain and register as sound and as words. So letting your awareness note the external source of sound, and let your awareness note the internal physiological process of hearing sound. And now that your awareness note visual, and so if your eyes are closed, just politely, slightly open your eyes and let your eyes be soft and bring your focus to an object in front of you. And again, note the object and this tendency to bring your awareness and attention to the object. And then begin to pull back. So again, noting the space between the object and yourself. Knowing that what you are seeing is actually light reflecting on your pupils. And then from the optical nerve, going up to the brain and registering as an object that has certain meaning for you. So 40% of our brain, more or less, is dedicated to seeing. So again, noting that there's this object in front of you, and that you have an awareness based on light waves hitting the eyes and that physiological process of the brain again. And so now, pulling your awareness from these external senses and letting your awareness move to thoughts. And again, noticing any thoughts that are present. Notice any emotions that may be present. And notice physical sensations. If you have an area of pain, notice the pain and actually begin to notice that the awareness of the pain doesn't actually experience the pain. The awareness of the thought isn't the thought. The awareness of the emotion doesn't experience the emotion. It has awareness of it. And so letting that awareness be aware that it is separate from what's outside, from what's inside, and what's experienced inside. Any feeling of being unloved does not mean that you are unlovable. Any sense of wanting to overeat does not mean that you are overeating. That awareness is aware. And we're going to sit in that awareness for the next few moments. So allowing yourself that awareness that notices thoughts to come down from the thought and just notice the thought. If it notices the breath and the body, allow it to drop for a second to the breath and the body, and then come back to that awareness. Each moment, feeling, noticing there may be thoughts, there may be sensations, movement, pull to the past, pull to the future, and letting the awareness stay in the now and the now. So knowing the present and future sensations inside, sensations outside are present, and continually pulling to the now, to the awareness of now. Being aware of each passing moment, each passing thought that appears and disappears. Opening to a timeless, spacious awareness. Opening to a now that includes past, present, and future, and doesn't get stuck in any past or future. Continually present, present with what is, present with what is, present. Ask yourself, when am I? Am I stuck in the past? Chasing the future? Trying to hold on to the present moment right now in a certain way? Or just being with the now in the way that it is? Not going up to refer to thought, not dropping into sleepiness or fogginess, not getting stuck in the past, not going even one moment forward into the future. Noticing what's outside and what's in, not getting stuck in what's out, not getting stuck in what's in. Remaining with it all. Resting your awareness equally on the outside and the inside. Opening up to the now in a timeless, continuous field of open-hearted awareness, in which all of the present moments experience, appear, and disappear. And from this place of present moment, notice it's naturally non-judgmental, naturally open, sees clearly, is connected inside and outside. And does not identify with particular thoughts or emotions, nor does it deny thoughts or emotions. It allows what is to be in an open-hearted, compassionate way. All right. When you are ready, allowing yourself to end this open awareness meditation and return to whatever you're doing in a more open-hearted, attuned way. Okay. All right, so that is an open-hearted meditation. I practice that meditation throughout the day a lot. I find when I'm moving through my day, I naturally go externally focused for a long time, and I'll be focused when I'm driving, like whoosh, I'll be lost in driving. Or if I'm talking with somebody, whoosh, I'll be lost in another person. And it's almost like pulling my awareness back to also include my own experience. And if or when I'm depressed or anxious, my awareness may be whoosh, hyper-focused on my experience of anxiety, or hyper-focused on the heaviness and sadness that I feel. And if I can back up, I do two things. I'll back up and become more than that experience of depression, or more than that experience of anxiety, or more than that experience of overeating. And I'll begin to feel the boundaries of myself and my awareness expand and get bigger. My container, my awareness gets bigger. And so the sadness may still be there, the overeating may still be there, but it's just one part in this larger awareness. And when it's one part, it's not as overwhelming. It doesn't have to be acted upon. So giving it some space. So using that open awareness this week, whenever you have a moment to, can be really helpful. All right, so we'll need to end soon. And to introduce the topic of sensuality, and so sensory experiences, right? Sensuality, and perhaps to introduce to you in a more deep way why food may be so connected to emotionally soothing. I have a story I'm going to read you. All right, so it was dusk. The apartment was empty, save for the two of them. As they lay entwined in a warm embrace, this room, this bed, was the universe. Aside from the faint sounds of their tranquil breathing, they were silent. She stroked the nape of his neck. He nuzzled her erect nipple, first gently with his nose, then licked it, tasted, smelled, and absorbed her body odor. It was a hot and humid August day, and they had been perspiring. Slowly, he caressed her one breast as he softly rolled his face over the contours of the other. He pressed his body close against her, sighed, and fully spent, closed his eyes, and soon fell into a deep and satisfying sleep. Ever so slowly, lest she disturb him, she slipped herself out from under him, cradled him in her arms, and moved him to his crib. Having completed his 6 o'clock feeding, the 4-month-old had also experienced one more minute contribution to his further sexual development. So I like this for several reasons. One, it shows how close food and connection to others are. And when we are not connected to others, we will often overutilize food. So if we find ourselves giving to others and not receiving or feeling that connection between, we will overutilize food in an attempt to get that deep nurturance that comes from deep connection. That deep connection is in part physical, so touch is really important. And it's in part attachment, knowing that you care for somebody else, you make them feel good, that other person cares for you, makes you feel good. And so in this part, in terms of loneliness, and even boredom, because a lot of boredom might be loneliness, it's going to take some time to really allow yourself the amount of touch and connection that you need so you don't overutilize food. That's part one. And then the second part is a lot of us either one, have shame about our physical needs, or two, are completely unaware. We're like up in the thought realm. And so the second part is, we started these sessions with, touching ourselves, becoming connected to ourselves. So part of it is connection to other, absolutely. And part of it is connection to ourselves. And connection in a way that feels gratifying, deeply soothing, and deeply pleasing. I'm going to come back to this slide next session. And we will also continue with this inner gourmet next session. And I want you to begin to integrate some of this in your homework the next couple of weeks. So when you have a chance, and again, it doesn't have to be in a rigid way. Ideally, though, at least once a day, eating foods where you're really noticing and experiencing the taste and taste satisfaction for the first several bites. Add beauty to a meal. And what I mean by that, set the table, use cloth napkins, candle, music, pleasant company. Add some external beauty, either with sound, aroma, visually, to a meal. Add 1 to 2 foods that you really, really like back on the menu. All right? So do these first 3 things, and we'll come back to doing a mindful eating exercise next time. And we'll more thoroughly go through the sensory gratification and comfort next time. And so for these next couple of weeks, move mindfully, doing that formal meditation, doing that expanded or open awareness during the day, bringing that daily rhythm into your day, maintaining that food diary, bringing that beauty to your food, and begin to incorporate seasonal foods that are going to increase your antioxidants, reduce those processed foods, and add in supplements. All right, so I will send out the one handout with the extra tidbits on a daily routine. I will send out the PowerPoint and a link to this YouTube video by the end of this weekend. All right, take care. Have an embodied week eating and living. All right, thank you.